Why was Lagertha called the Queen of the Vikings? Lagertha was not an ordinary woman. She was a fierce warrior, known across the lands as a shield maiden, a woman who fought alongside men in battle. Some even called her the Queen of the Vikings because of her strength and bravery. Lagertha's story begins in Norway, during a time when power belonged to those who could fight for it. According to the tales, she came from a noble family but chose to live like a warrior. Her legend grew when a cruel king attacked Norway. Women were captured and forced into shame. Lagertha, refusing to be a victim, dressed in armor and fought back. She led other women into battle, proving that courage did not belong only to men. It was during this time that Ragnar Lothbrok, a famous Viking hero, noticed her. He saw her fierce spirit and wanted her by his side. Lagertha, however, was not easily won. Ragnar had to fight a bear and a fierce dog just to prove he was worthy of her hand. After these trials, Lagertha agreed to marry Ragnar. She became not only his wife, but also his greatest ally in battle. Together, they fought many enemies, and Lagertha earned a reputation as one of the greatest warriors of her time. Lagertha and Ragnar's victories. After marrying Ragnar, Lagertha continued to show her incredible bravery. She joined him in many battles, riding at the front of the army. She wore armor, carried a shield, and fought as fiercely as any Viking. The stories say she once turned the tide of an important battle. Ragnar's army was losing and his men were close to defeat. Suddenly, Lagertha charged into the battlefield with a group of warriors, surprising the enemy and leading Ragnar's forces to victory. Her skills earned the respect of every Viking who saw her fight. They said she had the heart of a lion and the spirit of a true queen. But while they fought well together, things between Lagertha and Ragnar were not perfect. Ragnar eventually left Lagertha to marry another woman, seeking to build political alliances. Though betrayed, Lagertha stayed strong. She did not beg or weep. Instead, she returned to her homeland and continued living like the proud warrior she had always been. Lagertha knew her strength came from within, not from anyone else. She ruled her lands wisely and kept her people safe. Even without Ragnar, she would make her own name in the sagas of the North, a new beginning. Back in her homeland, Lagertha rose even higher. She became a powerful leader, ruling her lands with a firm but fair hand. Life was not easy for a woman alone, even when as strong as Lagertha. Many men tried to take her lands, thinking she would be weak without Ragnar. They were wrong. Lagertha defended her home fiercely. When enemies attacked, she rode out in armor once again, leading her warriors with courage and skill. Her people loved her, not just because she protected them, but because she ruled with wisdom. It wasn't long before she found herself married again. This time, it was to a powerful nobleman. But Lagertha's second marriage was not happy. Her new husband treated her cruelly, seeing her only as a trophy, not as the warrior she truly was. Lagertha did not accept this. She fought back in the way she knew best, with strength. The sagas say she killed her cruel husband with a hidden knife and took his lands for herself. From that day forward, she ruled alone, answering to no one. Lagertha had proven once again that she was a true Viking queen, capable of making her own destiny. Call to battle, Lagertha's fame grew across the Viking world. When Ragnar needed help again, he knew there was only one person he could truly rely on, Lagertha. A great battle was coming, one that would decide the fate of many kingdoms. Ragnar sent a message to Lagertha, asking her to join him once more. Though their past was complicated, Lagertha agreed. She gathered her warriors, mounted her horse, and sailed to Ragnar's side. When the two met again, there was respect in their eyes. They had loved, they had parted, but their bond as warriors had never truly broken. In the battle that followed, Lagertha once again proved her worth. She led her forces bravely, charging fearlessly into the heart of the enemy. Her armor shone under the sun, and her shield protected her from countless blows. Victory was won that day, thanks to Lagertha's courage and tactical mind. After the battle, she returned to her lands. Though Ragnar offered her a place at his side once more, Lagertha chose her independence. She had built her own life, and she would not give it up for anyone. The wise ruler. As the years passed, Lagertha grew wiser. She was no longer just a warrior. She was a true ruler. Her lands flourished under her leadership. She built strong defenses, trained her people to fight, and ensured there was enough food and protection for all. Young warriors came to her court to learn from the famous shield maiden. They admired her courage, but also her fairness. Lagertha believed that strength was not only about winning battles. True strength, she taught, was protecting the weak, honoring promises, and leading with wisdom. Even as age began to touch her hair with silver, Lagertha's spirit remained unbreakable. She often rode out with her warriors, keeping herself ready for any danger. But Lagertha knew that no one, not even the greatest, could fight forever. Time would one day claim even the strongest shield. Still, she lived each day with pride, knowing that she had stayed true to herself. She had carved out her place in a world ruled by strength, not by birthright, trouble from within. As Lagertha grew older, new threats appeared. Not from distant enemies, but from within her own lands. Some young warriors, hungry for power, began to whisper that Lagertha was too old to rule. They forgot the battles she had won and the peace she had built. One of the greatest threats came from a man named Olaf. Ambitious and clever, Olaf believed he could take Lagertha's throne for himself. Lagertha knew of the danger. She was no fool. She gathered her most loyal warriors and prepared for what could be her greatest challenge yet. She did not fear battle. She had lived by the sword and would die by it if necessary. Her people stood behind her, ready to defend the woman who had led them through countless storms. The final battle was close. Lagertha felt the pull of fate, but she stood proud. Whether she lived or died, her spirit would never be broken. She prepared her armor one last time, knowing that every warrior must eventually meet their end with honor. The final battle, the battle came at dawn. Lagertha, dressed in her old armor, mounted her horse and led her warriors into the field. Her heart was steady. She had faced death many times before, and today would be no different. The clash was fierce. Olaf's forces outnumbered hers, but Lagertha's warriors fought with the strength of those who loved and believed in their leader. Lagertha herself fought at the front, her shield raised high, her sword flashing under the gray sky. She cut down many enemies, her strength almost seeming endless. But even the greatest warrior cannot fight forever. In the chaos of battle, Lagertha was wounded. She fell from her horse, but rose again, refusing to be defeated. Blow after blow rained down on her, and still she fought on. Her warriors tried to reach her, but the enemy closed in. Lagertha knew her time had come. With her final strength, she struck down one more enemy, refusing to fall until the very end, the death of a shield maiden. Lagertha fell on the battlefield, her shield still clutched in her hand. Her eyes looked up at the gray sky, and she smiled softly, proud of her life. The fighting raged around her, but in her heart, she knew she had lived bravely and true. Her loyal warriors carried her body from the field. They mourned her deeply, but they knew she had died as she had lived, with courage and honor. Lagertha's death marked the end of an era. The shield maiden, who had stood beside Ragnar, ruled her own lands and fought countless battles, had found her rest. Her enemies trembled even after her death, and her people remembered the woman who had led them without fear. Though the world would move on, Lagertha's story had ended the way she would have wanted, not with sorrow, but with pride. The queen of the Vikings had met her end, not in a quiet hall, but under the open sky, sword in hand.